Hi, I'm Sherry McGill, and you're watching Lessons Learned. Hi, welcome to Monday Quilt Chat. How was your weekend? It was super nice here and still is a breezy fall, perfect weather. The leaves are falling gently, not a whole lot yet, not a whole lot of color yet either in this area, but I've seen farther north that the leaves are changing quite a bit. So here we are in that time of year, and it just feels so good. I know I don't want to spend a whole lot of time just talking about the weather, but it's just really nice. And our hearts go out to those who have been affected by the hurricane and all those different states, Florida, North and South Carolina, and then Cuba, Puerto Rico, different places that have been affected terribly by that Hurricane Ian. And we hope you get back to some sort of normal very soon. So let's get back to quilt talk, quilt chat. Let's see. When I left you last on Friday, I said I was going to work on She Who Sews, and I did work on it some. I got it pasted. That's about it. I'm ready to start quilting. And for the week that I'm going to retreat, I'll have a video for you on the quilting on that you'll be able to see. And then also I got, I don't know if you can see it right there. That's September's Barn Block Mini that I told you that I totally forgot. So I got it done on October 1st. So better late than never. That's, that's my UFO project that I set out to finish early this year. It's the last one, my last UFO project. I consider all my projects that I have now as works in progress because I do get them out from time to time and do things on them. But this UFO will be finished sometime in December. That'll be the last block, and then I'll have a nice set of blocks to display for each month of the year from here on out. So that was September, so I need to start thinking about doing October's, but I'm not going to think about that this week. And I've been working some on my little goodie bags, and look, I have got them in the actual bag form now. So all I have to do is put my little cords in, my little drawstrings. So getting there. I told you I'd get them done, and I will. I got some things in the mail that I had ordered, so I want to share those with you. First of all, I got some things from So Yeah. I did get a big piece of fabric. I think this is 5 yards of cactus material, and I think that's from that llama line. I don't remember what it's called, Llama Drama or something like that. But I saw on the latest destash that they also have this with a charcoal background, which I think I would have preferred. But this is just so cute. I want to use it for something. It'd make a cute tablecloth, I think, for a picnic table or something. Might do that. Might wind up being a backing for a quilt. Who knows? And then they also had 2 mystery Stonehenge. Not 2. I bought 2. But you could get a pack of 2, which is 2 1-yard cuts of Stonehenge. Stonehenge? Yeah, that's Stonehenge, isn't it? I think it is. I didn't have any Stonehenge, and I've wanted some. So I thought, well, they're blenders. So no matter what they give you, you're going to be able to use it eventually. So this is like a teal color. It's pretty, isn't it? It has a lot of movement to it, I think. Be good for landscape quilts. And I keep expecting for Zachtober at So Yeah that he's going to have a landscape quilt for us to do. But I haven't heard anything yet. Have you? But there was a hint of that several weeks ago, that that might be what he would do. Here's another one. When I first got them out of the package, I was like, I don't know if I like these colors, but I think I do. Yeah, Stonehenge Gradations Mixers is what they're called. Mixers, blenders, there's just all kinds of terms for it. This will be good for something neutrally. Kind of looks like marble, Stonehenge, therefore. And then the other one I got was a royal blue. It's pretty, isn't it? Kind of looks like a night sky. See, I'm in that whole landscape quilt mindset with these. And I've been collecting some things up like this for that potential project. I guess if he doesn't do that, then we'll save them for something else. So I got those. That's about all I bought from them. With this, I also got a pattern that they put in there, and I will talk about that in a minute. Also, I ordered a new pattern. This came, pretty sure that it came from Quilt in a Day. I get a email from them every day, and I saw this on there. I think it was $8. And here's a little, if you can see that smaller picture right here, kind of gives you an idea. You know, when I made that modernish quilt the other day, it was a commissioned quilt. I enjoyed doing that. You know, there was a lot of cutting, lots of cutting, but it just went together so fast, and it was like instant gratification. And I was thinking, you know, I'm just not really, the modern scene of decor is just not my thing so much, but this is Churn Dash, for heaven's sake. So isn't that classic enough and modern enough to give me that feeling again? I'm going to try it. I don't know if I'll do it in these colors or not. These are like print, newsprint, and grays and black. I don't know. I thought I better grab it just in case. And I'm a member of the American Quilt Society, and I got one of their engagement calendars for 2023 so that I can maybe get myself organized for the year. And I'm even thinking about having a session with you about goals and things we want to do, things we want to accomplish during the year. I don't like to get things too tight in my life. I like a lot of, you know, wiggle room in my life. I don't like to be strapped down to certain things. I have went into, in other areas of my life, I have gotten very into just really mapping out every step of my life, you know, like it's, you know, my ministry or my home, cleaning, you know, decor projects, DIY projects, and you know, you get to where like, okay, today I'm going to do this, I'm going to accomplish this, and then tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then next week I'm going to do that. And you have to be careful about that, because sometimes that will stop me in my tracks. It's kind of like, I don't like this book telling me what to do every single day if I don't want to do it. But the truth always comes out that you get a lot more done if you have things written down and goals written down. You're just more likely to do it. And something about checking that off every day or week or month or whatever is very satisfying. And so I need it, but I have to be balanced with it as well. So anyway, I thought I'm going to think about it some more, about how I could have a planning session with my viewers. And if that's something that you would like, put it in the comments, and you know, be as specific as you want to be as far as that goes. You know, what would you like me to do, or research, or, you know, plan? And we'll do that. We'll just see where it goes from your comments. And then I wanted to do something a little bit different today, as far as going back to this quilt pattern, this free quilt pattern that was put in my So Yeah package. And it's called Fat Quarter Fancy 2 quilt. So there must have been a 1. I don't know that I have the 1. It may have been something from the past before I even knew they existed. But I thought we would just kind of tear this little pattern apart, because it's real simple, and just kind of dissect it, not to be critical, but to see what a pattern consists of, and how that helps us, and how we interpret it. And, you know, a lot of projects we have to have patterns for. Not all. I make quilts all the time without patterns, but sometimes you just have to have a pattern, or you want to use a pattern, you like the pattern, and you're just going to go by these instructions. So you'll notice, if you got this, of course it has their name on it, and the title, and then it has the size here, 64 by 80. And then they have a little box here that says terms, because there's so many little, I don't know, what do you call them, acronyms in quilting, like WOF is width of fabric, RST is right sides together. So they've put the ones that they've used in this pattern in this box. There's more than that. And then you get your fabric requirements, and that means what is the amount of fabric that you need for this project. And they have 20 fat quarters, 2.5 yards of background, 5/8 of a yard of binding, and 5 1/8 yards of backing. So what I've done is I've kind of analyzed this pattern to see if that's accurate, and also to see about what it would cost to make this project. They had the quilt, it looks like this, on their wall at their last destash on Friday, I think it was. No, it was the one before that. Otherwise I wouldn't have this fabric. So it had to be the one before that. I think they did it in K-facet fabric, and they used like a, it was almost like a blue or purple or fuchsia or something in the spaces here. So that's your background. It was a real pretty quilt. And this is a real easy pattern. So anyway, the next section is cutting. So how do you take this fabric and cut it? But before that, I want to talk about price. 20 fat quarters of, I looked up 20 fat quarters of K-facet is anywhere from $65 to $80. And then your 2.5 yards of background, I conservatively said $10 a yard. Could be more than that, could be less. So that's $25. 5 1/8 yards of backing, plus 5/8 yards of binding, and let's say you use the same thing, that would be 5 3/4 yards of backing. So let's say you did 6 yards at $7 $42. Plus your batting is going to be around 20 to 30 depending on what kind you choose. So this quilt is going to cost, keep in mind, it's 64 by 80. It's going to cost you probably about $125 at least. Now your fat quarters, if they weren't K-facet, if they were just, you know, just normal quilter's cotton, or, you know, even something a little bit less than Kaf, it's not going to be that much less. It might be 50 or 55 for your 20 fat quarters instead of 65 to 80. So you could save more there. And of course, if you already have the fabric on hand, it's not going to cost you anything. Alright, so let's go into the cutting. The cutting is very, very important. Now on this particular one, there are two sets. There's actually 3 lines of instructions on how to cut it. Now from the 20 fat quarters, they're wanting you to cut 4 9x9 squares. That's all it says. From fat quarters, cut 4 9x9 squares. At first glance, I thought just 4, but it's actually from each of the 20 fat quarters, you cut 4 9x9 squares, and that will make you 80 squares. And from the background, you're going to cut 19 4.5-inch strips that are width of the fabric. So they're going to be 42 inches long by 4.5. And then it tells you to subcut those, each one of them, into 12 4.5 by 4.5. So I thought, well, that means you take your 19 strips times 12, and that should give you the strip requirement, which they're saying is 160. Well, it gives you more than that. It gives you 228. So honestly, you could probably cut, if you need 12 pieces of 4.5 by 4.5 from each one of those strips, that means you're going to get 9.33333 out of each strip. So I'm not sure where they're getting the 12 from, but it does work out, because if you cut 19 strips, you're going to get more than 160. But you could actually cut, from my calculations, you could cut 18 strips and get 168 pieces out of it. So that would leave you, currently, if you went ahead and cut your 19 4.5-inch strips, that only leaves 4.5 inches of extra. So if you messed up on a couple of them and cut them at 4 or something, you might not have enough. You know, if you did that a couple times, you may not have enough. But if you cut 18, that would leave you 9 inches to play with, and you would come out with 168. So I'm not sure what the math is there that they were thinking. There's enough there to do the project, but the calculations that they came up with was different than I would have thought. So then you get to your instructions, and a lot of times there are illustrations, which are very helpful. And here's illustration on the back here. They're telling you to take 2 9-inch squares, right sides together, draw a diagonal line, and sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that diagonal line, which means it's going to make 2 half-square triangles, and repeat that until you have 80. And that's what's going to happen, because if you take your 20 fat quarters and cut them into 9x9 squares, which each one will make 4, that's 80. So if you put 2 together and sew them and then cut them back apart, it's still 80. At first I thought that didn't sound right either. But that's why it's important to read your pattern all the way through, because sometimes the light bulb will go off. or go on. I should go on, really. Alright, so the next step is to take the 4.5-inch background squares, and you basically just use those as snowballs, if you can see that there. You sew them to the inside of those squares that you squared up to 8.5 on two sides, two opposing sides or corners, and then you cut that corner off and open it back up, and that'll give you this square here. And then you do 8 rows of 10. Ten rows of 8. Sorry, 10 rows of 8. You're going to wind up with a lot of, if you did use K-facet fabric, you're going to wind up with a potload of corners that could be trimmed to 2 inches, 2-inch squares. You're going to have a whole bunch of 2-inch half square triangles. Probably not enough to go all the way around as a border, but a lot. If you all know of another way that you could not waste that much of your colored fabric, put it in the comments below, because I would like to know if there was another way to do that. So that's kind of like the anatomy of a quilt pattern. Super simple one here to go through to be able to see that. Your size, your fabric requirements, the cutting, and the instructions to put it together. And on this one, they didn't include any sort of quilting or binding instruction on there, because that's kind of, it's either universal or, you know, everyone has their favorite method, or you can usually go to one of your quilt books and find it, or online and find it. Quilt magazine, most of them always have it in the back where you can access that information anytime you need it. So it's interesting, quilt patterns. I found mistakes in quilt patterns before. I found things that I thought could be done differently, but everybody's brain works different. So it might be more valuable to some to waste a little fabric to make sure you get the sizes that you need, rather than shaving it down as far as you can to save on fabric. And then there's that camp of people who, you know, want to not waste anything. They don't want anything left over, which is very hard to accomplish, super hard to accomplish. But I was on a Zoom call last night with some fellow quilters, and we were discussing a little bit about, well, this pattern in particular, I believe, and you know, everybody has their own, how everyone has their own style of quilting. You know, some people just like to run through it and get it done as fast as possible. Chain all those pieces together and get them done and get the final result. And nothing wrong with that. You're going to get a lot more projects done than the other half of us, who are more the camp of people who enjoy to savor the time spent with the quilt, with the fabric, with the cutting, with the layouts and the sewing, and just kind of really savor it all, and then eventually at the end you'll have a quilt. Currently I have several quilt tops that aren't quilted or bound, so doesn't mean that, you know, I'm done with them or I gave up on them. It just means that they're over there in a project box, and they'll get their chance when I'm ready to move on to them. So we were talking about that too, how, you know, some people just like to get their projects done. They don't have anything sitting around to do. But then there's others of us that we need to have several projects going all the time, just to kind of keep the brain fresh, keep our craft fresh, and keep it light and enjoyable. And not to say that others don't enjoy going fast and getting things done. I'm sure they do, or they wouldn't do it that way. But that's just my style. Also, I wanted to mention that there's something exciting coming up. I have several other channels that are collaborating with me, and together we are going to take a particular line of fabric and a particular pattern, and we're all going to use a different background in it and reveal our videos and our finished quilt tops all at the same time, so that you can get to watch their videos and get to know them, and maybe find another channel that you haven't been watching that you'd like to watch, so you want to subscribe and all of that. So and we're just trying to become friends with each other too. We don't really know each other that well, and so this is a way for us to get to know each other. And some of the smaller channels, we need a little encouragement sometimes from each other. So I tried to pick some channels that were similar in size and get some exposure for all of us. And of course, they will be promoting my channel as well. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be a fun project, and it'll go by pretty quick, and it'll probably come out sometime in November, I would say. So keep on the lookout for that. We'll give you some more details on that coming up too. So I think that's about all I have for you today. This week I'm going to finish my little bags. I have to. I'm going to do a lot of filming so that you'll have something to watch while I'm gone week after next. Or I guess it will be next week I'll be gone. Not this coming, but next. So I'm not going to leave you hanging. Not going to leave the channel hanging. Can't do that. So hang in there. Get something out to sew this week and work on it a little at a time. Schedule yourself a few minutes or half an hour here and there so that you can get the benefits, the personal benefits from sewing and quilting. So have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye!